All right, I think it's time to invent a new acronym for Pride Month 2021. I'm going to call it DLM, and I'll get to why in a second and what it stands for. But if you want to pause the video and take a guess, leave a comment on what you think DLM stands for. So let's go back in time. When I was working on my PhD, I was 21 years old, and we would routinely have to reschedule exams in the winter quarter because people wanted to go home to their family, obviously, and so every semester my professor would ask the whole class, does anybody have problems with the exam times? Now, people would go home to their family. Some of my classmates were married, or at least engaged to get married. Some of them had children, actually, and they would routinely reschedule things. And but my PhD advisor and my professors gave me a lot of flack if I missed things to go on a date, or for other things aside from relationships. I had one time where I missed an appointment by accident. What had happened was I had bought a computer on Craigslist, from somebody on Craigslist, and when I took it home, the computer was infected with the computer equivalent of COVID-19, and I was very upset. And I chased down the guy, and it was a mistake. He fixed the problem, but in the midst of that, I forgot an appointment with my advisor. I was just overwhelmed, and when I explained to my advisor what had happened, she thought I was making excuses. Now, if I had a wife to help me take care of that, right, that probably would have played out a very different way. Now, that wasn't the only time I got treated differently for just being different. My advisor used to complain all the time that I waste time with whatever. The truth is that it's very difficult to waste time. Most things that people do serve some kind of purpose. Right, whether it be with the dating, whether it be complaining about getting an infected computer on Craigslist. I mean, even during the quarantine, right, we did a lot of things that cleared our head. The truth is that everything serves a purpose, but some things are just different for other people. How people clear their heads are very different. What kind of relationships people want to have is very different, right? And what people want to do for fun is very different. Now, after I landed my first job, I'd been there for 3 months, and one of my coworkers asked me if I would donate some of my vacation time. She was pregnant and had a complicated pregnancy. She didn't go into details. I certainly didn't ask her about the details. And I remember thinking to myself, God, I've only been here 3 months, and I really could use a vacation too. But this is, a very sensitive topic, right? And I felt if I didn't give her any vacation time, and then she found out that I was, quote unquote, wasting my vacation time, going to my favorite destination or going out on a date even, that would look bad on my part. And she was the team leader. And so I grudgingly gave her half a vacation day and said, this is all I have. I really had 3 or 4 days, but I didn't think she would remember. And I had just started there, and this is all that I have. But that's what I said. But I was heartbroken because I was only there 3 or 4 months, and I thought, gee, if I run into this after 3 or 4 months, what am I going to run into after working here for 10 years? Right? It's only going to get worse and worse, right? Maybe a vacation day here next time it might be, can you give me some of your retirement fund, right? It just felt like it's going to get worse and worse. Now, the problem is that during the COVID-19 pandemic, I've also had to fill in for other people because they had one of my coworkers had COVID-19, and another one had child care problems. The babysitter had gotten COVID-19. I filled in for all of that. Now, I remember thinking to myself, gee, at least you guys have people to take care of you. If I got COVID-19, it would just be me locking up in my apartment, and I might even have to work through that, right? And not to mention that, that I don't anymore, but at the time I wanted to look for a significant other as well, right? And then I went out to the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, and I didn't get any breaks for that. I had to look for Wi-Fi to get work done while I was out in Ellensburg, Washington. It's a 2-hour drive away from Seattle, and I'm frantically looking for outlets and Wi-Fi and all that. I don't get any breaks there, right? Okay, before the pandemic, fortunately the pandemic has softened this problem, but before the pandemic, I would go to a workplace event. Now, I have high functioning autism. I know I hide it very well in front of the camera, but that's because a lot of times when you watch my videos, you're not watching the first take. You're watching me on the best moments of my life when you watch one of these videos. But I control my autism with diet. And a lot of times at office events, at parties, at gatherings, and I have to refuse food, and I always tell people that it's not about your food, it's about me. People want to dig, and I can't hide why I'm refusing the food very well, right? In a normal world, you say no and that should just be the end of it, right? But people want to dig. You know, there are some people who think that if they ask enough questions, maybe they can prepare something for me next time. Maybe they could, but I think it's a little bit more personal than that. My response to that is, why don't we do something other than food so it can be less personal, and you don't have to go out of your way, and I don't have to feel personally invaded. Why don't we just do something other than food where it's not going to be such a sensitive topic, right? It's kind of like if you had a medical condition where you were taking prescription drugs and I dug into what it was, right? That's the way I'd like to think about it. Now here's the thing. My coworkers sometimes need to rearrange their schedules because of child care issues, because of family issues. Sometimes I want to rearrange my schedule because personal hobby, or maybe I want to go look for that future partner so that if eventually I can take paternity leave, right? I don't understand why we can't make an even exchange there. Why does it only go one direction, right? Anyway, DLM stands for Different Lives Matter, right? People have differences in views on relationships. They have differences in views on how they like to relax. They have differences in views on what they like to eat, right? Thanks for watching.